Alright, so here we have Liam, kind of roughly outlined. That way he can get all of the detail added in here. I have a couple of different layers. Right now I've got his hair, his head, the shirt, and within each layer there are definitely other little layers. Like right there, I should probably name hair. In his head, I definitely have a lot more. Ear, mouth, nose, eyes. In the ear, there's multiple inner ear, outer ear. The mouth has his teeth, top teeth, bottom teeth, and the lips. Got the nose with the nostrils, the overall nose shape. We also have eyes with irises and eyebrows and all of that. Let's go ahead and we're going to start with our head. And with our head, go on to make sure it's unlocked. Go on down to the outline of your head. And we want to go ahead and fill our head with color. Right now we look kind of ridiculous. So when we go to pick our color, you want to go down to yellow, go past yellow into almost an orange, and pick a skin tone. You might have a little bit darker skin, you might have a little lighter skin, just depends on you. Also, this is the time that you can change up what skin tone you're at. Make it lighter, darker, whichever way. We're still staying within the human flesh. Let's go ahead. Once you pick a color and you hit OK, you'll see that the whole entire thing is filled with color. Right now we still have our pink outline. I'm not going to get rid of my pink outline until I am done. I want to have it there so I know where everything is, so I can go and adjust and make things correct as necessary. Alright, so now I've got some skin. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on the mouth layer, and I'm going to get that opened up. And the way that I did the lips, they actually have their own, oh, I'm sorry, those are the teeth. The way that I did the lips here, you can see, I've got the outer, and then it goes in from there. So with the outer lips selected, I'm going to go ahead and just start picking a color, kind of in the reds, kind of pinky reddish. And then for this inner one is where I'm going to go actually darker. Get everything else deselected there. Remember, if you can't get quite what you want, use your little squares. So I got this inner lip selected, and I want to make that fill color a little bit maybe darker because it's more in the mouth, kind of dark where your tongue is and everything else. I am going to go ahead and, oops, sorry. And here, let's go down to the teeth. The teeth probably need to get moved up above the lips, run between the two lips at this point. We might end up having to rearrange a little bit more even. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to pick full-on white, but I'm going to go pretty close there. Now he's got his little teeth in there. This is where I might end up wanting to move a few things around. And for the time being, I suggest that you go ahead and keep your actual stroke around everything. Right? If I get rid of it, it's not bad, but if I keep it, it's going to allow me a little more freedom as I move forward. If you get to the point where you've gotten everything filled, then you want to add even more details. So on our faces, I'm not going to get into these line details right now. I'm going to get into some of the color detail. On our cheeks, some of us are, we've got makeup on, or we want it to look like we have makeup on, or like we've been in the sun, because I know some of you guys probably not so much wearing the makeup. So I'm going to kind of draw this one circle here and make it a gradient. And the gradient, I'm going to go on into here. This gradient, I've already gotten a preset gradient. If you click on the gradient, you double click, you can go pick a color. I'm going to make it, have it a little bit darker than the skin tone. If I click, hold, and drag and drop this on here, it should allow me to fill it. Helps if the fill color is the top color. You can see it kind of can change this up a little bit if I want. Can have, depending on where I want my sun to be coming from, I can then adjust where the radial hits, where everything sits. Sometimes it takes a couple little clicks, a couple little adjustments. And then when you're done, go ahead and get out of the grading tool. And that's just a little spot, move it around. You know, that doesn't say you have to do it that way. The other way that you can do this is make sure you are where the head layer is, and this new path you see popped up right there, which is good. But go ahead with, I'm going to change my fill back to a nice skinish color. We'll probably actually make it gray later. But let's say the sun was more on this side, and this is where you might need to make a couple other layers dark again. And it's okay if you do. Let's say the sun was coming, it was on this side, kind of tracing over. Make this shape. This is where I can go and change the transparency of the layer itself to allow for like a shadow. See, it starts darkening. On Liam's face, I'm going to point out, he had a lot of spots, a lot of little spots that were circular, moving out, moving out, moving out. And if you remember in some of the examples, some of those people had those different pieces too. And now the way to do that is to go ahead and trace out some of these shapes. Right now I have that hidden. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer for right now with these details. I'm going to go ahead and make my traces. I'm going to need to adjust my color here in a second. And then make your colors. I'm making no fill. Make my actual current stroke something kind of bright again. That way I can go ahead and see. I would recommend that you do the darker color first, which I did not do, so do not do that. Make sure you do the darker color first, which might be, like on him, a good bit on your face, and that's okay. Just depends on you, on the colors that were around you. See, I'm kind of tracing out, and close that. And I can make that now a pinkier flesh tone. And what you'll want to make sure of is kind of like what we were just doing. This path should be on top of that path. And by filling it right now, it makes it really hard for me to find all those other spots. So don't fill until the end. And then make sure all of your little layers end up in the right order. And when you start filling, you'll know if you missed something. So you'll be able to go ahead and fix that and rearrange. Like when I had that layer filled and I couldn't see anything. When I had that layer filled, I'm sorry, that in a little interruption, and I couldn't see anything, all I did was rearrange. And that's fine. And I'm going to name this detail, face detail specifically. And I'm going to go ahead and name this back dark detail. And then this particular one happened to be the right cheek. Oops, helps if I am actually typing. And this is the left cheek. And just keep on going, and like I said, you are welcome to go ahead and actually start doing some coloring. I would hesitate to do too much because you don't want to end up having to go back and hide and unhide and have fill, have no fill. So make sure that you are doing it in a way that provides you the least amount of work. I mean, that's really the goal, is the least amount of work. So that's something to really think about. You can see how that's starting to come together and making sure that all your colors are the way that you want them to be. Like looking at this, I need to probably play a little bit more with those colors and move from there. Alright, next up on the next video will be some hair detail.